Greetings. It's your boy, Cypher Da MC here, the Muhammad Ali of MCs, welcoming you back to the Into the Cypher podcast. The weekend is coming to a close. We are about to head into another work week. And hopefully this week, I pray that this week turns out great for each and every one of you, that you gain more insight into self, that nothing but positivity comes your way. So of course, today's topic is what is gaslighting, and maybe there's something we can do about this. But before we get into the episode itself, we have to get our disclaimers out of the way. I'm not a relationship expert. I'm not a doctor of any kind. I don't have a master's or a doctorate from Harvard. I am just a regular guy, just a regular Joe Schmo, if you will. Just want to facilitate being the best version not only of himself, but maybe look at things from a different perspective, that we all can look at ourselves and be on that same journey. I'm on this journey with you, and that's pretty much what this episode is about. I definitely like to use myself as an example because I believe that experience is the best teacher, whether it's intentional or unintentional. But with all that out of the way, I appreciate each and every one of you for listening, for downloading, for subscribing to the YouTube channel, everything such as that, because you could have been anywhere in the world today, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. Shout out to Jay-Z. All right, with that being said, what is gaslighting? Okay, now I had to do some research on this right here. You know how your boy likes to do his research. I mean, if I don't know something, I have to find out from someone or from the source, or try to get as best an idea of what it is as possible. So what is gaslighting? Gaslighting, according to Google here, I guess this is the Oxford Dictionary for the most part. It's when you manipulate someone by psychological means into questioning their own sanity. Now, the type of person that I am, I'm like, okay, how could we, have someone question their own sanity? I guess it's possible if you have that much control over the person, because it seems that gaslighting has something in common with, I've seen common characteristics of control. It's about controlling the person. So to me, and this is just me, and of course we can agree to disagree, to me it is about someone doing something intentional. It's not something that someone just wakes up one morning and says, you know what, I'm going to gaslight today. Any and everyone that I see, I'm going to do that. That's an intentional thought. If someone says, hey, what you're doing or the behavior that you're exhibiting is gaslighting, if they don't know, then to me that it doesn't, let them off the hook by any means. We all have to look at ourselves, I'm sure there are other behaviors that we do or say that some people don't say anything about, but can have pretty much the same impact, where it can be negative. I'm a positive type person, I believe. I want to influence and be as positive of an impact on someone's life as much as I'm here. I don't want to negatively impact someone, but I also have to see that coming from a different background, coming from a different mindset, I'm looking at things perhaps from a male perspective. It's going to be somewhat different. It's going to be somewhat of a, I'm not going to say challenge, but it's going to be somewhat of an encounter, an experience, as far as, okay, you're looking at this from not only a man's perspective, but a man of color's perspective. You're looking at it from maybe this age range perspective. How I think as a 30 or 40-year-old is going to be different than how a 20-year-old sees things, because they're looking at it from a 20-year-old lens. I'm looking at it from a much more experienced mindset. So this term gaslight has been around for a long time. I'm actually on Google right now. I just typed in gaslighting if anyone just wants to just randomly do it. And there's actually a chart. and when I upload this to the YouTube channel, I'm going to take a screenshot of the chart as well. And in this chart, it actually shows that the term has been around since the 1800s. So a little over 200 years, this term has been around. Now, this chart actually shows the fluctuations of gaslight, like what periods that it was used more so or come into contact. There's books about it. I never knew that. But, you know, it hit a spike around going into the 1900s, and then it kind of diminished. I guess this is around the World Wars. But the spike actually started to occur maybe 2015, 16, because this line goes up. And around 2019, you know, it spikes. It hits its, you know, top point. And I'm like, wow. I'm pretty much, I like to consider myself a student of learning. Like whatever it is that I don't know, I want to try to know. I know that's a lot of, you know, stuff out there, a lot of information. But things like this, it's like, wow. So, you know, let's go back full circle. I was actually told that this was something that I was doing. So that's why it kind of piqued my interest. Like, wait a minute. You know, I like to be as positive and influence a positive person as possible. So to tell me something negative about me has me looking at myself in a different, you know, way. Okay, wait a minute. Especially if it affects, you know, any type of relationship, whether it's business, familial, personal, or what have you. And when this individual told me this, I was like, really? I've never heard of that before. So that hence put me on this path to find out not only what gaslighting was, but see what I was doing to try to see exactly where, you know, I could I'm not going to say improve, but kind of eliminate any negative aspect for myself. Granted, I understand it's going to happen over time. You know, if it's something that I really want to kind of, you know, wean out of my essence as far as when it impacts individuals around me. So that's what gaslighting is. Pretty much it's something, you know, that you're doing intentionally for the most part. Now, you can do it unintentionally, as in my case. And again, I'm not making any excuses. I'm not saying, well, that gives me a reason to, that gives me escape, a get out of jail free card, if you will. But no, what it does, it just allows me to look at myself differently. I'm not changing for an individual. I'm looking at myself, the quote unquote man in the mirror. And, that's what I really want all of us to do. Kind of look at ourselves, in that mirror and say, okay, if this is something that causes you to have a negative impact on someone, or it pretty much brings about a negative reaction from them, and this is someone that's important to you, or important, in whatever aspect. Again, there's different types of relationships that you have with people. Anything, friendships are relationships. I know we kind of just say, well, that's my friend. It's a type of relationship. It's a type of bond. So you definitely want to make sure that you keep those individuals that positively impact you in your life, and you don't want to exhibit any sort of behavior that will cause them to maybe rethink their position in your life. So there are 10 signs. I'm sure there are more signs, but 10 signs of gaslighting. I'll just give you a few here. Blatant lies. The person is lying often and with ease, yet they do not recognize this in their behavior. Deny, deny, deny. You know what they said, but they pretty much just deny that they ever said it. Using what you love against you. Losing your sense of self. Words versus actions. And these are just kind of tidbits here. Love and flattery, confusion, projecting. And this is coming from the Grampian-women's-aid.com website. And it goes through, pretty much these tactics, as they're being called here, like, for example, using what you love against you. For in this example, if the person loves their job, the gaslighter will find issues with it. If they have children, the gaslighter will make them believe they should not have had them, that they're a poor parent, which I think is very mean and just bad altogether. But losing your sense of self, the gaslighting continues methodically and continuously over a long period of time. The victim over time becomes a different person. Self-confidence disappears and the victim becomes a shadow of their former self. Their reality and being becomes that of the abuser. So they end up taking on the, the traits of the person gaslighting them. So, the way that my mind works is I believe that there's a lot of things that we have to do for ourselves. Self-esteem being one of them. Like, you have to have self-love for yourself in order to... Are you someone that is ready to strike out on their own and get their first apartment? You and your roommates are all ready and set to go to live the good life and pretty much get your life started? Or are you about to leave college and looking for a new place to live in the new city with your new degree? Well, guess what? There's a company called Credit Rent Boost that will allow you to get credit for the rent that you pay and get it reported to the credit bureaus. This will not only allow you to boost your credit, but also set you up long term, so when you are ready to make your first purchase as a homeowner. So give them a try. CreditRentBoost.com, and you can use promotion code OVM24522. It may be the best decision you ever made. And pretty much this, when it comes to self-esteem, I'm kind of a, if you're going to, have any type of impact, or at least the impact that you want to be the best person, you have to have a good sense of self. Like, we all have quirks, granted. And you want to try to be as strong of a person as possible. Like, we all want to be loved, we all want to be cared for, we all want to be appreciated, not taken for granted, and things of that nature. And sometimes those lines get blurred when we become involved with someone, or the relationship or the bond with someone kind of, changes. And we want to keep that person in our life. We want to keep, no matter the bond, no matter the relationship, you want to keep them in our life. So sometimes what they really think of us plays more of a part in our lives than it should. And we start to kind of lean on their thoughts or lean on their opinions more so than we should. That you see this in a lot of relationships between men and women, where the woman will hang on every word that the man says. Oh, I think you need to dress this way, I think you need to dress this way or that way, whatever. And she does this because she doesn't want to, quote unquote, lose him. And she then becomes, her self-esteem is based off of what he thinks of her. And, I definitely wouldn't advocate any type of relationship like that, because your self-esteem and your self-confidence, that's a part of who you are. No matter if you're a man or woman, that's who you are. That is what allows you to go forth each and every day to face whatever it is you're facing, to go to that job that you may or may not like, to embark on that ambition that you want, anything you want to create. That helps fuel that when you have a self, an identity of self, for the most part. So, not to say that I have an issue with this particular definition, or this not definition, but I guess tactics for the most part. I'm just, for the most part, it kind of circles back to control. Like, if the gaslighter is one that has to be in control, they have to find individuals who have a low self-esteem of themselves. Now, I may be wrong in that. We can definitely, agree to disagree, but if gaslighting is all about control, then you have to have someone that you encounter to control. Like, they have to be at some point in their life where their confidence is low, or their self-esteem, or how they view themselves is low enough that they can assert their own influence over that person. So this definitely kind of, puts a wow factor. Like, wow, that's crazy. Confusion, projecting kind of stood out to me. So projecting, a gaslighter projects their actions onto their victim. For example, if the gaslighter is a liar and a cheater, they accuse the victim of being a liar and a cheater. The person feels that they constantly need to defend themselves for things they have not done. So, you're crazy. Okay? The gaslighter knows the person is already questioning their sanity. They also know the victim is searching for clarity. Hence, when they call the person crazy, the person believes it. The gaslighter will also tell other people the victim is crazy or mad. Hence, if the victim ever approaches those people for help, they will most likely not be believed. Okay? And gaslighting is a form of mental and emotional abuse. Okay, I didn't know that there. So, wow. That's. I mean, of course, this is from the Grampian-women's-a.com website. If you definitely want to check this out, I'll definitely will leave the link in the description as well. So it's something that, again, has been around for 200 plus years. And to hear it being called, a form of emotional or emotional abuse, there, it's like, wow, okay, that kind of puts a different spin on, because again, if you never know that you're doing something, you can only make any sort of change towards that particular behavior, especially if it's detrimental to any type of relationship that you have with someone. It's kind of like, wow, you have to kind of say, okay, let me take a look into this here. Again, I'm all about looking at oneself first. It's very easy to play the blame game these days, and it's because of you I'm this way, it's because of you I'm that way. You see it all the time with parents and children and the relationships there. Well, I get it from you. And at some point we have to take responsibility for ourselves. We have to take responsibility for who we are once you become a functioning adult, and you're making your own decisions, and you're kind of in the world, so to speak. You have to take responsibility, and that's what I wanted to do by not only doing this episode and kind of bringing gaslighting, bringing this to the audience, to you, the audience, Cypher Nation, but also look at it myself, because this is what I was confronted with. I'm like, wow, I don't want to be put into this category of this, type of individual, because, that's not something that I, hopefully would exhibit. But if an individual is bringing this to my attention, I have to take it seriously, and then look at it through a lens, and work on those behaviors. So, it's an experience. It's kind of, I never think of myself as making it or over the top. I kind of think of myself as, if I say what I say, and I mean what I say. If I tell anyone that they're a great person, that they're awesome, that I love them, that I care about them, it's coming from a genuine place of love, of positivity. It's not, intended to be any sort of method of control, or in that website there, a tactic, so to speak. It's not. It comes from a genuine place, because in order to build that relationship regarding whether it's familial, business, personal, what have you, in order to build it, it does take time. it does take time. And if I see myself, if I see an individual 10 toes down, I'm going to let them know how I feel. How they perceive it, that I do not have control over. I'm a big, advocator of I can only control what I can control. If I say that I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. But if I can't do it, I'm not going to say that I can do it when I know that I can't yet. So that's just the type of individual that I am. And anyone that truly, truly knows me, knows my backstory, or things of that nature. We all have backstories. We all have testimonies, as they're called in the spiritual realm. We all have testimonies as far as what we've been through, what we've dealt with, where we come from. And we have to kind of use those testimonies to kind of look at our lives, not use them as a crutch, not use them as a reason to be who we are now, but to say, you know what, I came through that. I've been through that. I've been in an abusive relationship. I've been divorced. I've not had, this parent or that parent in my life. I didn't have someone to love me and support me and build me up and things of that nature. However, where I am right now, I'm not going to use that as an excuse to treat this individual bad or this group of people bad or anything such as that. And that's just the type of backstory or testimony that I have. All that I ever ask is that you allow me to get past or try to take a look at myself, give me time to look at myself and say, hey, you know what? I realized that this is what I was doing and what I was saying. And for that, I apologize. So to this particular individual that I offended in this manner of gaslighting, things of that nature, I'm not going to go into detail or anything such as that because, I take pride in the relationships that I'm trying to build and that I have built. Again, whether it's familial, personal, business, what have you, I value those relationships, and I don't want to put anything out on Front Street. So let's just call this individual Sunshine. Sunshine, I apologize. I apologize if this is what I was doing, and if this made you feel this way. It was not my intent, never intentional. I do appreciate you bringing this to my knowledge, so that way I myself can be a better version of myself, because I always like to look at self first. Always, always, always. So definitely I appreciate each and every one of you listening today, and to also take that time to look at yourself. Look at yourself and say, hey, you know what? I realize that, let me have this talk or that talk. Do I gaslight? Do I exert any behaviors that you may not like or may pretty much kind of don't benefit us or anything such as that? And then you work on those things. It's going to take time, but if you truly want to be the best version of yourself, you got to take it day by day. You have to take it one day at a time and continue to push forward. So again, I definitely appreciate you guys listening, downloading the podcast, pretty much just your support. It really, really means a lot. Continue to grow. And this week we're already going to proclaim this week a dub. We're going to proclaim it a dub. That's right. We don't proclaim this week like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till Friday, and it hasn't even become Monday yet. We're going to proclaim this week a dub. We're going to do something that you've never done this week before. Wait a minute, let me make sure I say that right. Do something that you've never done before this week. Let's do it that way. You've put it off for a while. You've put, kind of saying, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Next thing you know, it's 6 months later and you still haven't done it. Whatever it is, go to an art class, go to a wine tasting, go to an art exhibit, go to do something that you have never done before to not only get out, but also kind of broaden your mind. And you never know what you may discover about the most important person, and that is yourself. So as always, before you love anyone else, you must first love yourself. And I am out this thing. Cypher.
I will not lose.
Enter the Cypher with your light.